right, we'll go ahead and get started. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. You guys are now in the nutrition room. We're going to take the next 15 minutes to talk a little bit about the nutritional considerations that come along with ALS. We're going to open up with some symptom management, so difficulties with chewing, swallowing, hydration, constipation, all of those side effects that we can see with the ALS diagnosis. And then at the very end, we will touch on tube feeding and formula and provide some information about that. My name is Alli Gregg, and I am a registered and licensed dietitian nutritionist. I am based in Jacksonville, Florida. And on the next screen, I'll show you my fabulous team. We have Miss Lauren Bernstein. She is our dietitian in Central Florida. And then Miss Jen Bianchini, she is in South Florida. So why is nutrition important? I'd love to see a quick show of hands for anyone who ate breakfast this morning, drank something, or is planning on eating lunch, or if you're on a feeding tube, you took some nutrition. Show of hands. Okay, so I see a majority of hands, so you guys are not gonna be disappointed. Nutrition's important. You already took it in this morning. We're gonna learn about how to optimize that throughout the day. So ALS and nutrition. Good nutrition is important in bone health and disease. Our body requires approximately 50 different nutrients to function at its best. And the body obtains these nutrients from food and beverages we consume. So these 50 nutrients, we can't get them from anywhere else. I love it, holding one up right there. It's coming from what we eat and what we drink or what we infuse. So what does it look like for ALS and nutrition? The key is a balanced diet that includes foods from all the food groups. So when we're thinking of the food groups, the main ones that we wanna remember and we wanna focus on when it comes to mealtime are grains, vegetables, fruit, protein, and then your fats and oils. So when we think of our grains, we want to choose whole grain breads and cereals with fiber. So if you guys do pasta, bread, cereals, trying to avoid the white ones, so the white bread, the white pasta, and move towards the multigrain and the whole grain. Definitely does not need to be something done overnight. You can wean yourself into this. So if you guys are eating white bread or white pasta, maybe mixing it with some of the whole wheats. So doing half of the white pasta, half of the whole wheat. If you're doing a sandwich, 1 piece white bread, 1 piece whole wheat bread. And as you add things to those foods, you can mask kind of some of the slight flavor changes. And a lot of people, especially with like pastas, by the time you put a sauce on it, you can't even tell it's a whole wheat or a whole grain noodle. And the benefit that comes with that, the whole grains and the multigrains, those have a lot more nutrition. You get a lot more bang for your buck, where the white grains, a lot of that has been stripped. So unless you get those vitamins and minerals from other places, your body is not getting those. Let's talk about vegetables. So you want to choose a variety of colors. Now the best colors that you can choose are your dark green and orange varieties. Those are the two, again, that you're gonna get the most bang for your buck when it comes to vitamins and minerals. Fruit, it's the same story. You wanna choose a variety of colors, and I like to think of eat the rainbow. So try to represent all the colors in the rainbow when you are making your fruit and vegetable choices. And there's different flavors and different health benefits that come along with the different colors. So when we think of your fruits, your bananas, those have more of your white, yellow tones, and then we think of our very vibrant berries, like your blueberries, your raspberries, your blackberries. Those are gonna give you different nutritional qualities, so that's why you wanna eat a variety of them. Sometimes what you get from the bananas, you can't get from the berries, so you wanna mix those in to make sure your body is receiving all of that. Protein, this is very important, and we're gonna touch on this in a few slides too. You wanna choose lean protein, so lean meaning on the low fat side. You wanna vary your protein intake. You can even switch it up with some plant-based protein sources. I think we traditionally think of meat sources, but nuts, seeds, beans, and peas, those all offer a great quantity of protein. And then finally, yes, the dietitian is saying fats and oils are okay. Those are an important part of a healthy diet. strive to consume your heart-healthy fats. So you want to choose your olive oil, your canola, and your peanut oils. Okay, so why is nutrition important specifically to those living with ALS? This is because you want to meet the increased energy needs caused by ALS. It's also helping to slow the process of muscle breakdown, which can be very common. You want to keep your immune system strong and ready to fight infection, and good nutrition definitely helps with that. You want to maximize your energy levels. So almost think of your body like a battery. When we go to bed at night or when your cell phone starts to die, what do? You plug it in and you charge it up. Exactly, heard you say charge. We want to think of our bodies the same way. I don't know about you guys, but I want to be going throughout the day on that full green charge. Once I start to move my way down to the yellow and red, that is a little bit of a danger zone. We get fatigued, we get tired, it's harder to do your daily activities. So use that good nutrition to run on a full charge. And then most importantly, to improve your sense of well-being and quality of life. So what are some nutrition troubles that you may encounter? You may come across unintentional weight loss, poor appetite, swallowing and chewing difficulties, dehydration, constipation, fatigue, and thick saliva. And we will walk through some different remedies and strategies if you guys are coming across any of those symptoms. So we're gonna back it up to calorie needs. I'm sure if you guys have been grocery shopping or if you've been out at a restaurant, you've seen the word calorie before. If you turn a food over on the nutrition facts label, you see the calories listed out. Or if you've been at a restaurant lately, now they list it on the menu, which is sometimes terrifying to see how many calories are in there. But that is something that our body needs. So maintaining a good nutrition status, it can be difficult when living with ALS. Decreased appetite, stress, trouble chewing, or swallowing can affect your intake. However, your energy needs are greater than ever before. So people with ALS, the energy needs are approximately 15% higher than somebody who does not have ALS. So the body is working harder and it needs a little bit more calories. If you have inadequate nutrition intake, it will speed up the breakdown and weakening of extremity and breathing muscles. So that's why we want to take enough in. A large percentage of ALS patients consume fewer calories per day than the amount that they require. So once we get into a state of not taking in enough that our body is using, that is when you can see unintentional weight loss, fatigue, and loss of muscle. And that can accelerate the progression of the disease. So that's what we definitely want to avoid. Monitoring your body weight is one way that you can keep an eye on your nutrition status. So you can kind of gauge yourself, how am I doing? It is generally recommended that you do not try to lose weight once you are diagnosed with ALS. Of course, discuss this with your physician and with your dietitian that's on your care team. The goal really is weight maintenance, and you want to try to keep track of your weight. How can you do that? You can keep a chart of your weight starting today. Weigh yourself. Oh, did it not? Yes. Oh, we have a question. Yeah.
On the calorie thing, what is the standard calorie intake?
Yes, great question. So the question is, what is a standard calorie intake? It's very dependent first on your gender. So if you're a male or a female, so males typically require more calories, and then it's also going to look at your height and your weight. The taller you are, if you're carrying more weight, you do require more calories. So just kind of a very rough number for those with ALS. If you're a male, kind of, you're not a giant by any means. You're not 6'6", but you're not on the shorter side, kind of average male. It can be anywhere from 2,000 calories up to 4,000 calories. So that's something that when you meet with your dietitian or with your care team, maybe ask them to calculate your specific calorie need. They can take in your height, your exact height, your weight, your gender, and they can give you an exact number. That's a great question. Yep. And then for females, it can be anywhere on that 1,800 to 3,000 side. Awesome. Love that question. So touching right on those calorie needs. So how do we know if we're taking in those 2,400 calories, if we're meeting our calorie needs? So our body weight is a good way that we can gauge off of that. So if you're not keeping a weight chart, maybe think of starting that today. You want to weigh yourself once a week and preferably the same time and the same situation when you go to do that. So for example, if you're weighing yourself in the morning before you've ate anything, before you've gone out for the day, the next time you go to weigh yourself at that exact same time. We can see body fluctuations just with our water weight. So if you start weighing yourself in the morning, the next day you go to weigh yourself in the evening, it might look like, oh, I've gained 4 pounds, awesome. That could just be water. So pick a consistent time and day that you want to weigh yourself and start that. Like I said, fluctuations can be common, so 1 to 2 pounds, nothing too hazardous to be concerned about. However, if you notice that it's starting to trend towards that 1 to 2, it's now turned into 4 to 5, start talking to your doctor and to your dietitian about this. Okay, let's look at loss of appetite. So if anyone is starting to experience, or if you've had this, what are some simple ways that you can combat this? Some things to think out that I'll point out from the screen. Take advantage of your good days or your good times. So eat well during your up times. I know sometimes we traditionally think of our meal pattern as breakfast, lunch, dinner, 3 meals per day with eating a lighter dinner. Well, if dinner in the evening is a good time for you, take advantage of that. Eat as much as you can and really get as much bang for your buck. Thinking again about those 3 standard meals, maybe let's reshift our frame of mind and structure it to 5 to 6 mini meals per day. If you're not able to eat a full plate of food, split those 3 meals into 5 to 6 meals per day. Avoid long periods of time when you're not eating, so try to kind of keep an eye on the clock or when you've had your last meal and try to eat every 2 to 3 hours. Choose nutrient-dense foods rather than light or diet foods. So if you can get a lot of calories and protein, you definitely want to choose that option. Here's a big one. Eat first and then drink. So we think of our stomach, there's only so much room. If you chug a glass of water before you go to eat, it's going to fill up with water, which is great, we want to be hydrated, but then there's not a lot of room left for the important calories and protein. Question over here?
Well, not a question, just a comment, because that kind of relivrio, you're supposed to drink that right before you eat a meal.
Okay.
You know, and that's 8 to 10 ounces of water. So it's just one of the things that those of us who are taking relivrio,
Yep.
we have to combat that.
Yep. So thinking of that and then maybe trying to add in a snack, maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours later in between the meal. If you're filling up on that from the fluids and you're not able to get all that nutrition at the meal time, that's a great point. Yeah. Sometimes you might be taking medications that are affecting that. Yes? So we got a nutrition drink there. We got a protein supplement. Yep. And I'll touch on some of those at the end too. That's great. Yeah, we want to think of our liquids as instead of just water where it's 0 calories, let's use a liquid that's got protein, calories, vitamins, minerals, all that good stuff. I love that. Some other things that can help, keep your favorite foods around the house. I don't know if you guys, if it happens to you, but if I walk into my pantry, open my refrigerator, if it's foods I don't like, I don't even want to eat them. I don't have an appetite. So make sure you keep your favorites around the house. Try a variety of tastes, textures, and temperatures. Sometimes we have more of an appetite for things that are at different temperatures. So play around with the cold, the hot, and the room temperature foods. We'll get that to pop back up. Make a schedule for eating and follow it like you would follow your medicine schedule. So if you're having a hard time relying on your hunger cues, just like you take your medication in the morning, afternoon, evening, make a schedule for your nutrition as well. Eat with other people. This is my favorite one. Okay. Eat with other people. So make mealtime a social activity. If you have somebody at the house, if you have a caregiver, if you have family, sit down together and enjoy that. Okay, we'll move on to chewing and swallowing. If the muscles of chewing and swallowing become weak, some changes in your diet may be helpful in order to reduce fatigue and lower your risk of choking. Keep in mind that everyone with ALS may not develop problems with swallowing. You may continue to consume foods and beverages of regular consistency as long as you're not experiencing those troubles. So what are some signs of chewing and swallowing difficulties? You may experience weakness in the tongue, facial, or muscles in the mouth area, prolonged meal times. So maybe if it took you 20 minutes to finish a meal, now it's taking 30, 40 minutes. That might be a sign. Fatigue with chewing, difficulty pushing food back with the tongue, a sticking sensation in the throat with solid food, occasional coughing with thin liquids, so after consuming those, coughing afterwards, and then multiple swallows to get the food down. Those are some signs. Speak with your doctor if you're experiencing any signs of the chewing and swallowing difficulties. If you are, you will want to avoid foods that are crumbly or fall apart easily in your mouth. You want to use caution with foods that have tough skins or seeds with sticky foods. Those can be difficult. Hot and cold foods are generally easier to swallow than lukewarm. So again, play with those temperatures. And then ice cold beverages are also easier to swallow. So make sure you throw it in the refrigerator or pour it over ice. Okay, we'll move on to dehydration. So this can be common, again, among ALS. And there are a few factors that play into that. Lack of appetite or difficulty swallowing may cause you to reduce your fluid intake. You should strive to drink at least 8 cups of non-caffeinated fluids every day to maintain a good hydration status. So again, that's 8 cups non-caffeinated. So if it's a caffeinated beverage, that doesn't count towards your 8 cups. Keep a beverage with you all times. I don't know if you guys are the same. I like to carry a water bottle or a nutrition drink just to keep it in line of sight as a reminder. Sometimes if we don't have it in front of us or it's not easy access, it's very hard to get that fluid in throughout the day. And then frozen juice bars, sherbet, popsicles, anything that melts down to a liquid at room temperature, that counts towards your fluid intake. So you can play around with those too if you're not having. Oh, perfect. We got the screen back up here. I'll advance to our next one. Okay. Next, we will talk about constipation. So this is another side effect that could be common. This is due to the weakening of the abdominal muscles and a reduction in activity level. Inadequate fluid intake and inadequate fiber can also contribute to this problem. So you kind of got that cycle going on. And constipation can cause discomfort, and then it can also affect your appetite. Walk as much as you are able. Walking is really good for helping with constipation if you're able. Ensure that adequate fluid intake. So not just from a hydration standpoint, but also from a bowel regularity standpoint, fluid is very important. Trying to get those 8 glasses. Start your day with a glass of warm water in the morning. So when you wake up, start hydrating. Start that. If you do not have problems with swallowing, we want to think about those high fiber foods again. The whole wheat breads, brown rice, high fiber cereals, beans, vegetables, fruits. Vegetables and fruits all have naturally occurring fibers in there, so that's a great source of fiber. And then if you are taking a nutritional supplement, so if you are drinking one of those protein drinks, try one with added fiber. And one of our options, Kate Farms, that does contain important fiber along with others. Okay, we'll touch on tube feeding really quick. So despite all efforts, patients may lose their ability to eat as a result of the increased time required to eat or more frequent episodes of coughing or choking. As intake by mouth becomes difficult and often insufficient, different methods of feeding should be considered. The most common is what's called a PEG tube. So that is one of the feeding tubes. Patients who have PEG tubes are still able to eat by mouth as long as they are able to swallow safely. So if you still have the ability to swallow safely, It is by no means an all or nothing when you get a feeding tube. You can actually do both. You can have your nutrition infused through the tube, and you can still eat and drink. So some supplement considerations. So if you are looking to add a liquid protein drink into your diet, you want to focus on something that is high protein. Again, that protein is very important with your muscle mass. You want to focus on something that has fiber, and then look at the ingredient list. Just have a good understanding of what you're putting into your body. A lot of the protein drinks, sometimes they have added sugars, they have artificial colors, artificial ingredients, which sometimes that can disrupt the GI system. It can cause nausea, diarrhea, upset stomach, constipation, all of those good things. So this is just one option, and we do have a table out in the vendor hall if you guys do want to learn a little bit more about Kate Farms and the Kate Farms nutrition drinks. So something that makes this a unique option, it is a plant-based protein source, so it's an organic pea protein. A lot of the traditional proteins are a dairy protein, which sometimes that can disrupt the stomach, that can cause diarrhea, can cause tummy aches. And then the other important part is the fiber. So it's an organic agave inulin fiber that feeds the good gut microbiome, that keeps the tummy very happy. You're not going to have a lot of that abdominal cramping, constipation, things like that. And our last slide. Again, it matters what you're putting into your body, so just educate yourself on the options that are available. Take a nutrition, look at the nutrition facts label. There are, in the nutrition world, there are different densities. So in terms of how many calories, how much protein is in the bottle, they can range anywhere, from 200 calories all the way up to 500 calories. So if you're having a tough time getting those calories in, getting to your calorie goal, it's much quicker to get to that number with a higher calorie bottle. So keep that in mind as well. A lot of the protein supplements and the tube feeding formulas, they are eligible for insurance coverage through specific insurance plans. So that's something that you can always talk to the dietitian and to the doctor about if your insurance plan covers the supplements. Then you don't have to make a trip out to the grocery store buy them. You can have them provided through insurance. And this is our last slide, so I would love to take questions or hear feedback. Got a question over here?
I'm an outlier. Is the insurance only for if you're tube feeding?
It also applies to oral supplements.
Okay.
So if you're here in the stand. Use your microphone. Oh, yes, thank you. Perfect. I keep walking away from the stage. Perfect. So it just depends on your insurance plan. If you are drinking them orally and it's not going through a tube, 3 insurance plans that will always cover include TRICARE, Aetna, and Medicaid in the state of Florida. So if you have any of those 3, great news, oral supplements are covered. One that is a difficult one is Blue Cross Blue Shield. Even if it's going through a tube, they have certain diagnosis codes, so that one just have to check. And then all of the other plans, like your United, your Cigna, things like that, they would just need to do a benefits check. So the dietitian, the nurse, the care coordinator, they can get with us and we do a quick benefits. And we're shocked. Sometimes, for example, last week, we had a patient with United Insurance. Doctor said it wasn't going to be covered, and then when we ran the benefits, they actually did have coverage for supplements. So always just worth checking. If it's going through a tube, 99.9% of the time it's covered. I leave that one because sometimes there's a few that get a little finicky, unfortunately. Great question. I love that. Question in the back. Any foods you should avoid? Great question. So with the foods that we should avoid, in terms of if you have good chewing and swallowing ability, we just really want to optimize your nutrition. So we want to eat that well-balanced diet. So I hate to say it, but you want to avoid like the fast food, the fried foods, the artificial sugars, the really sugary food. just because that is empty nutrition. By all means, they definitely give you calories, but they don't offer a lot of nutrition. There's not a lot of vitamins, minerals, fiber, things like that. So trying to avoid some of those conventional foods. Milk. So you may have heard that so sometimes milk can cause a little bit of mucus around the mouth. So if you're already having a difficult time with swallowing, sometimes it's the dairy in milk that can promote that. And then with milk, dairy is also inflammatory, so it can promote inflammation. And when you have ALS, unfortunately, there's already inflammation going on. So sometimes the dairy can contribute and worsen your inflammation. Great question. Any other questions? Thoughts? Got one over here? We'll make sure we get everyone. White roots. And nightshades. So that is one way of thinking. Depending, again, talk to your dietitian and to your doctor. All fruits and vegetables, whether it's a nightshade or it's one of the white roots, they do have anti-inflammatory effects. They actually have vitamins and minerals that can fight inflammation. So unless there's a medication on board, there might be a medication interaction. Otherwise, as a dietitian in my book, all fruits and vegetables are good for you. Yep, great question. I think we had a question up here. Yeah. Let's see, can you recommend any? Ooh, that is a good question. I might need to get your information and follow up with you on that one. It was, can you recommend any mycolytic foods and drinks? I will definitely look into that, and I'll get your guys' information. So avocado oil can be one of the better oils. Yep, avocado is one of the unsaturated fats, so that's what we call one of our healthy fats. That's a great option. Yeah, I'll definitely add that to my slide. Thank you. That one's tasty too. That one has like a good... There you go. She said avocado oil doesn't burn. That one's a little bit easier to cook with. Probably an easy way to get some extra calories too, which is great. Any other questions that you guys have? Well, thank you so much for everybody's time. Like I said, my name is Alli. I've got my great team. We've got a table out there. So if anybody has questions about insurance coverage, you want some samples, or just learning a little bit more about your nutrition needs, definitely come visit us. It's been great talking with you guys. Thank you, guys.